My name is Maryam Rashdi. I am originally from Oman. I reside in Doha, Qatar. My story began 16 years ago when my son Kareem was diagnosed with autism. It's very difficult to make that journey into 3 minutes, but I'm going to do my best to speak about most important events with Kareem. It was very difficult when I knew that my son was different. I always noticed that my son was different than my nephews and nieces when we went to my father's house on Friday. I come from a family in Oman. My dad had very strong values in terms of education and raising a successful family, and my son was different. I used to see him different, and my brain would always see that difference, but my heart was always in denial. When I found out that Kareem had autism, I rushed into the internet. Back then there was no lot of resources that I was able to look through and know what autism is about. So I sold everything that I had. My husband and I, when I found out my son had autism, my husband and I sold everything that we have and we moved to Canada to get therapy for my son. When I took him to Canada, I thought it was a temporary condition. I never thought this was a lifelong disability. So I took him there thinking that way, but then when I found out that autism is a lifelong disability, I decided to go to school in Canada and learn more about how I can help my son. When I came back from Canada, I brought with me everything that I've learned, mostly the way the societies accept and understand people with special needs. I moved into Doha and I asked my husband that we should leave Oman. I want to go to this island where nobody knows me, because I was tired of answering questions about my son and his condition, especially that autism. There is no any physical appearance to the person with autism. There is no physical features that differentiate people with autism from neurotypical people. So I was tired of telling people what's wrong with my son. So we came to Doha and I started here, and I became all over a sudden this special education consultant and the person that will meet with mothers every Friday, where I turned my home into a volunteer training center where mothers come every weekend to learn about their children. And I started initiating these projects about training nursery teachers about how to the early symptoms of autism and how can we diagnose children. And today a lot of the students whom I saw in Doha at age 2, now they're about 16. Kareem has changed my life tremendously. I never thought that all this energy that I had inside me and the love of children, every children with autism appear to me to be Kareem in a different shade. I love them all equally. There was a lot of moments in my journey with Kareem. The most special moment is when I heard his voice for the first time, and I ended up naming my center in Qatar as the Ontario Center for Special Education, because it's in Ontario, Canada, where I heard Kareem's voice for the first time. I always thank my son for changing my life and making me the person who I am today. Doctors once told me that my son was never read or write, my son was never talk. The message I'm trying to send through to mothers is that do not believe what doctors say, believe in your child and his abilities. It's a very big struggle because I often blame myself, and I think all the mothers do so. Did I do something I shouldn't do when I was pregnant? Did I not take my vitamin supplements? Is it something wrong that I did? Why did this happen to my child? Did I not spend enough time with him because of having to go to work? You always have those questions. As a woman, you're responsible about keeping your family together. You're responsible about keeping your marriage. You're responsible about making your other children successful in life. Kareem has changed me a lot. Often I feel guilty towards my other children because he simply took all the attention, from all of them. And everything about Kareem is special. I look into his eyes, I walk with him in malls. I never thought that Kareem will be the person who he is today. Today my son is very close into a normal, proud, young, 19 years old boy who, young man, I guess. He's not a boy anymore, who goes out and he is happy. My main concern is making Kareem happy. I think that mothers should always believe in their children, accept their differences, and do their best. Maybe we should focus more on what our children are able to do, not about what our children are not able to do. Today, I'm an advocate for people with autism across the globe. All mothers of children with autism, whether you're in Africa or India, China, USA, Egypt, Qatar, Muscat, our challenges are very similar, and I'm sure together we will be able to make a difference. I send you a powerful message of love to all of you. I'm ready to go across the world to help people with autism if I am given the chance. I always think about people with autism and their mothers in countries where they can't afford therapy, or people don't understand their children. It's very difficult for a mother to have a child with autism, but in my story I've learned that there are moments of tears, there are moments of joy, but I cherish more all the moments of happiness and joy. When my son read for the first time, when my son talked, when I heard his voice, his voice sound like music on my ears. I'll continue to fight for Kareem and people like them. But sometimes I worry when I have the fear of leaving this world. We often worry about what happens to our neurotypical children. If I die, what happens to Kareem? That's like one of the biggest fears that I have. But I know that I left him with a society that understands his difference. I've left him with enough therapy, with people who understand how to deal with him. I've left him probably a Middle East that understand what autism is about, and I'm sure he will be in good hands. You come into this life, and I think you should just look for your mission, and this is the mission that Allah has chose for me, and I love you all. As we are celebrating the World Autism Day, I would like to send this message to the entire world, and I hope that my story was inspiring enough. Accept, believe in your child. Do not accept no for an answer from any doctor or therapist. Believe in your child and try and try and try until you hear his voice. You make him communicate and you force the society to accept him.